Shevuot Daf, Yodrima Amud Aleph, 15 lines down. The last thing we said is that Rabbi Zera explained our Mishnah that it was according to Rabbi in regards to Yom Kippur, what it's mechaper. But however, today's daf, by the way, sponsored by Mr. Raymond Day in honor of his granddaughter, Vivian Grace. The problem is explaining according to Rabbi, this doesn't fit with our Mishnah because we must sit Mokmak Rabbi. Can you say Rabbi Nasi? Our second part of the Mishnah is according to Rabbi Yehuda. Which would seemingly say that's also Rabbi Yehuda in the beginning, not two different rabbis. The Gemara says the kind of say we put from the second half. Echad Yisrael ve'echad Kohanim ve'echad Kohen Mashua. Whether it's Yisrael Kohen or Kohen Gadol, they all are. It brings kapara for the Azazel, the korban that goes to Azazel in the Midbar. It brings kapara for all those people for tumah violations. Now, Umanita Hasvera, who holds like this? Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, therefore we assume that Rabbi Yehuda also is in the beginning of the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Rabbi, he's according to Rabbi, but several like Rabbi Yehuda. If we both, Rabbi holds at the beginning, Rabbi Yehuda holds at the end, they hold like each other. Now the Gemara says, is that true? What do you mean by that? Dafka kamar more? Rabbi several like Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda. About Rabbi Yehuda, lo several like Rabbi, but maybe Rabbi Yehuda does not hold like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and elsewhere that there's kapara for avirot that you don't do teshuvah for. Or then maybe you say maybe like since Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda would also agree with like Rabbi. And therefore like, they're kind of interchangeable. The Gemara says mihu or had. However, Yosef just mentioned the way he says that the Tamid Safal Rabbi that the student holds like the master, and that's why he mentioned it like that. So like, maybe that's why he mentioned Rabbi Yehuda because Rabbi Yehuda holds like Rabbi Yehuda to just show the kavod. Gemara says in Daf Kamid. No, I meant exactly what I said. Rabbi Sabar like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda regarding the Azazel goat. But Rabbi doesn't hold like Rabbi that the Azazel goat brings kapara for people who do not teshuvah. However, it says you might think according that Yom Kippur brings kapara for those who do teshuvah, those who do teshuvah. V'dinu, why? Logically, you could say this the following: since the korban hatat and the korban Hashem gives kapara, Yom Kippur brings kapara. Ma hatat Hashem and mechabrin el Hashem, and af Yom Kippur just like hatat and Hashem brings kapara only for teshuvah. That's why they're bringing it. So maybe Yom Kippur also would have that. The Gemara says, it's not true because there is a flaw in that logic that what? That Hatat and Hashem is different because they don't give kapara for someone listening by mistake. Tomorrow, Yom Kippur does bring kapara for an accident. Therefore, maybe you might say that since Yom Kippur we gives kapara for a mistake, it also gives kapara for those who teshuvah. Therefore, Pasuk says no. Halak, halak. It excludes it. It says, however, which means only for those who do teshuvah. That's according to the Rida. The Gemara says, Stam Sifra, Mani, who's a Stam Sifra without mentioning names? Rida is referring to the Rida, but Kamar Shavim, and Allah Shavim, no. And if we see from here, they also do teshuvah good, if not. Gemara says, Maramea Stam Sifra, Stam Sifra, was going to give a stira, because another Sifra also with no name contradicts this. The Tanya says, Yachol Yodem, but Bechper Ela, in Ken Ta'anebo, Vikarav Mikra Kodesh. You might think Yom Kippur will not be mechaper, it's not provide for forgiveness unless the guy fasts on Yom Kippur and he prays on Yom Kippur. The law doesn't do work. But if he doesn't do that, if he does work and does not pray on it or does not fast, I know that it still gives kapara. To the Mario Yom Kippurim, it still brings kapara. So do you have to do the Shuvah not? One bright is according to the B'Tanasi, one according to the B'Da. Perfect. Rabbi is a different answer. Both according to Rabbi. Rabbi would agree in the case that if the guy did something on Yom Kippur Chayav Hatat, for example, for Chayav Karet, for eating or doing work on Yom Kippur, he doesn't get kapara unless he does teshuvah. That's where he would agree. Different answer. And proof. We don't say that. If that's the case, if you do not hold like that, Rabbi, you're gonna see there will be no such thing as getting karet on Yom Kippur because of Yom Kippur sin. You can do whatever you want on Yom Kippur, and according to you, don't have to do teshuvah. So that means if you eat on Yom Kippur, you can never get the karet because you'll get teshuvah. You'll get the kapara. Well, it's not necessarily. That's not how you can have a case. You can go on the avad, but he did the avera Yom Kippur night and then died before morning. The Yom Kippur day did not give kapara. That's the main point of kapara during the day. Okay, fine. Let's say okay, he won't have a case of a daytime karet. He did a sin during daytime because daytime will forgive him. No, the Gemara says alama no. Who says no? Maybe he was eating something and he died. He choked on it and died. That they didn't have time to get kapara. Ian, I'm a different answer. That house ate something right before Yom Kippur is over. They don't have a shehud lehabradol. There was no time for Yom Kippur to give kapara. Okay. Now, the next part of Mishnah said, Echad Yisrael, Echad Kohanim, Echad Kohanim Meshuach. All of these people are the same. Now, Gemara says, like, Hagu v'kasher. One second. Mishnah it seemingly contradicted itself. Tanya Echad Yisrael, Echad Kohanim, Echad Kohanim Meshuach. It equated all these people. And then it says after that, Ma ben Yisrael, Kohanim, Kohanim Meshuach. What's the difference between them regarding kapara? Is there a difference, or are they equated? Gemara says, Gemara says as follows: Echad Yisrael, Echad Kohanim, Echad Kohanim Meshuach. Whether it's Yisrael Kohen or Kohen Gadol. Mitkaprin b'seir mishdach, they all get kapara through the goat by Azazel. That you send away. However, other avirot regarding tuma, for avirot besides the tuma, then hiluk benhen is no difference. Right, so non-tuma, everybody gets kapara in Azazel. Uma ben Yisrael Kohanim, this is different between them. Ela shapan mechaper Kohanim, the bull is for the Kohanim. Atuma contract for Kashat, that's for tuma violations of the Midrash. Non-Kohanim get kapara for the goats of Yom Kippur. Mani is according to the Bidah, he's according to the Tanya, but it says Kodesh, you should get kapara for the Kodesh. This refers to the Kodesh Kodeshim. Et Ohel Moed, the Echal, the first the Echal. Mizbeach, Kimashrom, first in the Mizbeach. Yechaper, he gets kapara, Elu Azarot for violations in the courtyard. Kohanim, Kimashrom, the first the Kohanim. Am HaKahal, the Kahal Ben Israel. Yechaper gets kapara, El Levim, the first Levim. Kushbu Kulam the kapara Chad. Now all these people are equated to the same type of a kapara. Shemir Kaprim B'Seir Meshlech B'Seir Avirot. And other Avirot besides Tum'ah, they get kapara for Azazel Korban. Divrei Bidah. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Keshem Shetam Seir Nasel Havim B'Chabayit, just like the inner Korban of the Kohen Gad of Yom Kippur gives kapara for Bnei Israel, Al Tum'ah Mitzvah, and therefore for Tumah violations, just like so. Therefore, also the bull brings kapara on the Kohanim. Al Tumah for the Tumah violations. Just like the vidui, the confession that the Kohen Gadol puts his hands on the animal and he prays Vekach Ya Omer Ana Hashem. Right, so you do that before throwing off the goat. He does that for Bnei Israel. For other avirot besides Tumah. The bulk confession gives kapara for the Kohanim for other sins. According to Bishmon, they have the same pasuk, they have the same confessions. So why would you say that not Yom Kippur doesn't do anything for all Jews? The Gemara says, why would you say that equated? Because they kapara. It's true. Everybody gets kapara, but they have their own respective parts for their getting their own kaparot. The kaparot regarding for each type of person, whether it's a Kohen or non-Kohen. Why does Rishon hold that the Azazel goes do not give kapara for Kohanim, only for Bnei Israel? The Kohen says it takes two goats, one for Azazel, one for the Korban Hatat. The goat for Azazel is compared to the other goat for inside the Hechal. Just like the one inner is only for does not bring kapara for the Kohanim for Tumah. Because mentioned for the nation. The other korban for the Azazel does not give kapara for Kohanim for other avirot. How does he explain it? He tells you the goats are compared to each other to teach you the following. Right? Don't learn the pasuk that way. He learns this pasuk in Masechet Yoma that the two goats that are taking have to look alike, same height, and similar price. Okay, or same price. Who's the Tana of the following Braita? You should slaughter the goat of the people, or the Hatat of the people. That the Kohanim do not get kapara. But maybe so how do the Kohanim get kapara? For the bull of the Kohen Gadol. Maybe you might think they should not get kapara through that bull. Only for him, seemingly, only for the Kohen Gadol. Nobody else. Therefore, you might think the Kohanim don't have kapara for that. But then Pasuk says they get kapara. Ala Kohanim, it includes the Kohanim. Matzilo hen kapara. Now, where do they get the kapara? Where are they getting from the goat or for Aharon, the Kohen Gadol's bull? He says Aharon, but it refers to the general Kohen Gadol. Mutav sheit kapru b'parash Aharon. It makes sense that they should get kapara for the bull of Aharon HaKohen. Because they already have exceptions to the rule Esel Beto. Meaning, it says his bull, but then it includes his household. And therefore, once we added something to the just his, seemingly it would be just his, but then they added the household, we also added in the Kohanim. So we see this exception to the rule, not just him, Also his household. Now we're saying also the other Kohanim. The Kohanim do not get kapara through the goat inside the Hechal Shelo who tired Miklo because there was no exceptions to that. It says the Torah regarding his house. Then you want to say, how the Pasuk says, Bet Aharon Baruchut Hashem, Bet Levi Baruchut Hashem, Baruchut Hashem. All right, so we see elsewhere as well that there's that Aharon is equated to Kohanim because it says, "Blessed is Hashem, best is the house of the house of Aharon, blessed is Hashem," and in that is included all Kohanim because the next part says, "Bet Levi Baruchut Hashem," the Leviim. So we see Bet is referred to all the Kohanim. So we see from here when it says Beto, it can include his house. Yani the Kohanim. Mantana, who is this according to? Rabbi Yirmiyah, look, Rabbi Yirmiyah, not according to Rabbi Yirmiyah. Dear Rabbi Yirmiyah, if you want to say Rabbi Yirmiyah. Ha'amar v'kohanim yesh lehen kapara b'sayim shleach. He already says that the Kohanim get kapara through the goat for Azazel. So you don't need that. The Gemara says, Umani, who's according to? Rabbi Shimon is according to Bishimon. Amar Kohanim in lehem kapara b'sayim shleach. He holds there's no kapara for the Kohanim from the Azazel. Therefore, they get kapara through Aharon. The Gemara says, if you think Rabbi even Rabbi Yirmiyah agree with you. And he teaches the Bible as follows: if the bull for Aaron does not give kapara for Kohanim, that means they would have no kapara at all for Tumah violations of the Beit HaMikdash, another holy thing. Therefore, the Pasuk says, "Yechaper al Kohanim," adds the Kohanim. Masim nishish l'nekro b'siyad kapara b'shar avrot for other avrot. He also added in the following kapara for Bitumat Mitzvah for Beit HaMikdash Tumah violations. Where how do they get a kapara? Same thing, they should get the kapara from the bull of Aaron, because there many exceptions to the Torah regarding his house that they added him. But the plea not to the inner bull, goat, because no exceptions for that. And how do you know that the Kohanim are included in the house? The Pasuk says, Bet Aaron Baruchut Hashem. The Gemara says, "My imna shav kumar." So how come we have to bring a proof that the Kohanim are part of his house? Why would we just accept it? Okay, the Kohanim are a part of the house. So why did I say, "Oh, I could prove to you"? The Gemara says, maybe you might say that when it says his house, it means only his house. We say no, Kohanim are considered his house, right? So maybe you might think only his house, his wife and kids. Therefore, Therefore, we the Pasukim teach you that Bnei Israel, Kohanim are considered Bet Aharon. Now, the Gemara says, "V'haila asher la'am lahav Yehuda ata." You telling me that this pasuk of asher la'am for the people, of the people, that the Brita says that it teaches you that the Kohanim do not get kapara for the chatat. We use it for the following. We use it for something else. It teaches you that the chatat should come from the people's money. Not Bnei Israel should buy it. How can you say it's something else? The Gemara says no. No, we learn it from a different pasuk of the assembly of Bnei Israel, not other people. Therefore, we have to use the other pasuk to teach us what we need. The Gemara says, okay, fine. The other pasuk of Asher Lo, which teaches you that the bull of Aaron only works for the Kohen Gadol. But one second, you would have thought at least. But we need something else. The verse says, he teaches you that the Kohen Gadol should bring the bull from his own funds. He should buy it for himself. He can't charge Bnei Israel. Now you might think he can't bring the bull from the funds of the community because they don't get kapara. Maybe he could buy it through, at least the Kohanim could chip in. Therefore, says him. Therefore, only he could pay. Maybe you might think if he bought it with other people's money, he shouldn't bring it all. They may have kasher, and if he did bring it, the di'avad it should work. Therefore, it says again, only his. Therefore, teaching you that if he does use a bull that he did not pay for, it doesn't count. So we see from here that Asher Lo is used for something else. The Gemara says no. Tana is asking precisely this type of question. Why is the goat of the people that does not bring kapara for the Kohanim? Because the Kohanim did not put money towards it. Therefore, also regarding Aaron, how can the Kohanim go be part of Aaron's bull if they're not pay for it? As the Pasuk says, the Gemara says, therefore we have to teach you that even though they're not paying for it, they're still considered his household, and he could pay on their behalf. Okay. This halakha of the bull of Aaron makes sense according to Rishmon. That because it mentions two confessions regarding the korbanot, and also mentions the blood, the confession. Why? Because that means there's three kaparot. Had keneged sa'irim between one for the goat inside the hechal. The had keneged sa'irim as bechut. One for outside the Hechal. V'chad keneged Sarim Shtech, and one for Azazel. Right? Each one will do their own kapara. Right? The first one, the inner, it's for Tuma violations. The outer is if the guy did not know in the beginning but knew at the end. And the Azazel code is for other avarot besides Tuma. So, Gemara says, the Rebida, according to the Rebida, who holds that the Kohanim get kapara through Azazel. Today, we do in the Dama Parlamali. The Had do the Masagya. Why do you need three separate things? You can just do it in two shots. Because one of them does two. The Gemara says, he holds that one for the Kohen Gadol himself and one for the Kohanim. And then the third one for Bnei Israel. The Kohen Gadol has to first get himself kapara. Because why? It's proper for him to do that. Because if he doesn't get kapara first, it's like having a guilty person asking for forgiveness for someone who's guilty. So first he does himself, gets kapara inshallah from Hashem, then he can ask kapara for the other Kohanim. That's according to Bidah. Shevuot Daf, Shavuot Shavuot Shavuot, Mabruk on the first parah.